This is our last winter camping video for the season. Oh wait, strike that. Let me start over. This is the last winter camping video on this channel ever. Sort of kidding, but not really. We've had some amazing winter activities over the years.
I'll never let you go, Rose. I wasn't stupid, you're gonna die.
From skiing to snowshoeing, dog sledding, or even enjoying the absolute silence and beauty of the winter. But it's not easy, and it's not for everyone.
It's fun for really the shortest period of time. It's so pretty, and then as soon as it comes down, you go, oh, isn't that great? And the next thing comment is, this sucks.
If you're staying in your RV for the entire winter, that's a different program, requiring RV skirts, larger propane tanks, and heated hoses. But we wanted to share some tips if you're adventuring into the cold climate for just a trip, and also talk about driving during the winter months.
Temps are dropping.
Temps are dropping.
How you doing?
Great.
In addition, we updated our winter camping Amazon page to include everything mentioned in this video, plus links in the description so you have an easy starting point to get what you might need. So let's get started and talk about propane.
We gotta talk about propane because that could be the most important thing in winter camping if your RV is equipped with propane like ours is. In here, I've got two 30-pound propane tanks. Those are the taller propane tanks. Our furnace runs off of propane only. So if we were to run out of propane, the furnace wouldn't run. The furnace has ducts, like a four-season rig, that has ducts that go down underneath into the belly of the RV, and that keeps our gray, black, and water lines warm. So propane's critical. Because it's so important, I have a 20-pound propane tank. That's kind of the standard one, like connected to a barbecue, that we use for our 22-inch Blackstone grill. I definitely bring that on a winter camping trip so that if anything were to happen, I run out of propane, I know I always got 20 pounds as a backup to throw in here and hook up. Now, one of the things I've been meaning to buy for a long, long time, and I don't normally recommend products that we don't have personal experience with, but I've talked to enough people that have said this thing is great for me to mention. It is the It's the Mopica propane sensors. There's these little sensors that go on the bottom of the propane tank, and it uses sonar to see how full they are. I've heard that the indicator is terrible, just throw that away, but the actual sensors that go on it connect to your phone. So I could use my phone to see exactly what the propane levels are. That would be awesome. So I could just pull, especially camping in the winter, I could pull my phone and be like, oh, I'm almost out of propane. What I do, because I don't have that device, is I leave one propane tank on and one off. And when we run out of propane, I come out here and I turn off the one, I turn on the other, and then I kind of make a mental note that I need to go get propane in the next 30 pounds, if that makes sense. Last night we ran out of propane at about 1 in the morning. I woke up because I just kind of knew that the furnace wasn't running. And I just came out here in the middle of the night and I turned it over. I was a little concerned that without the furnace running and getting down into the single-digit temperatures that like stuff would freeze. So that's how important propane is. Some of these suggestions are very obvious, but if you've never camped in the winter, you just might not know. Now, let's talk real quick about like handling the sewer hose, because in the winter it might be a little different. Now, when we camp in the summer, I never leave the black or the gray open. I always wait for them to fill, and then I pull the black, and then I close it, and I pull the gray when it has lots of gray water, so it flushes out the hose, and then I close it. That's just like our best practice. Now, in the wintertime, you would never want to leave these things open. If you left the black tank open and your sewer hose connected like this, you'd end up with a poopsicle. You know what that is, nobody wants it. So you would definitely leave it in. And if you left the gray open, what would happen is all that gray water would trickle in and it would freeze, and then it would freeze and freeze, and then this whole line would be frozen, and not only would it damage your sewer hose, but you would end up with a blockage. So you would leave them completely closed and then wait for them to fill and pull. So pretty basic, but I just wanted to make sure you knew. Okay, let's come inside where it's nice and warm and the coffee's warm to talk about some of the gear that you would need and maybe a couple items that would add convenience, but you don't necessarily need just because you're camping in the winter. The first thing is an ice scraper for your truck.
You got some good technique.
You like that?
Yeah. Double fisted.
Because we lose so many. If you live in a climate where it doesn't snow, you probably don't have one of these in your truck. And if you come out winter camping and it snows overnight, you wake up in the morning, you realize oh shoot, how am I going to get the ice off of the windshield? Something is, I mean, you know, this happened to us when we were driving our bus through Texas, and I ended up having to use my Apple Card to scrape the ice off the windshield. Who would have thought you needed something like that in Texas? Okay, optional. A snow shovel. Not a bad idea if you're coming to a winter camping trip and it's going to snow, to have a snow shovel just to kind of clear your sight and make it possible to get in and out of your RV. But that's kind of an optional thing. There are other ways to do it, but that's because it takes up a lot of space. But something to consider. Obviously, it goes without saying, warm blankets, but the point I wanted to make is, you know, an RV has these systems like a furnace and water heater, air conditioning, fridge. It's not uncommon, even in perfect conditions, for these systems to fail. And in winter conditions, if there was something that would happen to your furnace, or if you were to run out of propane and you didn't have heat, making sure you have enough blankets to stay warm if it was, you know, 20 degrees might be kind of nice to have. And of course, when you're driving and maybe you were to get the blizzard would come through and you were stuck on the side of the road for a little bit, then you know that you would have blankets if you didn't want to leave your truck running. So some emergency stuff like that. A heavy duty extension cord. So I've got an F-250 diesel. Diesels do not like to be cold. They don't like to start in the morning when they're cold. And my truck is equipped with like an engine block heater with that cord. So if you had a heavy-duty extension cord, I can plug it directly into the shore plower and then run it out to the truck so that in the morning I can start the truck and make it sure it's warm. That's kind of a diesel thing only. Okay, the big one here is a small space heater for inside the RV. These things are essential because if you're at a campsite where you're connected up to shore power, then we can use the space heater to keep the inside of the RV warm. And then we can turn the furnace down when we sleep to maybe 45, 50 degrees. This way, when the temperature drops, the furnace kicks on to send that warm air into the belly of the rig, keeping our tanks warm and our water lines warm. But it's not running all night long, completely drying us out because forced air will do that, and also burning through all that propane. So we use the space heater to kind of take the edge off of the cold temperature inside the rig, and we use the furnace predominantly to keep the RV warm. And then it's just finding the balance of where do you put that space heater so that your thermostat knows that it's actually cold. So it's not like we're going to put the space heater right next to wherever the thermostat is in the RV. And then another advantage of the space heater is we don't have a furnace duct that goes into the bathroom. So we're able to plug the furnace in the bathroom when we take a shower. We can keep that area warm. So space heater's incredibly handy. And then the other thing we have, do I have it right here, is we have these, what's this called? A YoLink. This is like a wireless temperature and humidity sensor. And I've got two of these. I keep one in the battery bank so I know where the batteries are, kind of in the front. And then, you know, we can put one outside or we can put one in the fridge and whatnot. And then I can access this through my phone. So it's just kind of handy to know what the temperature is outside, what the temperature is where our batteries are located, and things like this. Now this also has a router that we can connect to our hotspot, and then it will send us text messages. So it's a great way. A lot of people ask during the summer when it's really hot, what do we do with Charlie when we leave him in the rig? How do we know that the air conditioning is working? So we use a device like this. And everything I'm talking about, we can link it down below. Okay, water is really important when you're winter camping because, well, it can freeze. And it's not uncommon for your water lines in your RV to freeze in the early morning. And if you wake up and you lift up your kitchen faucet or your bathroom faucet and no water comes out, there's no reason to stress thinking that your lines are frozen and you damage your RV. That's actually pretty common. And in our Grand Design, it happened all the time. Candidly, a lot of people have asked us about how does the Airstream do in cold climates, because it pretty much looks like a refrigerator. And the Airstream did remarkably better than our Grand Design, and I think because of the way that it's insulated and the bottom is insulated, not one time, even when it was 8 degrees, did our water lines freeze up. So you're probably familiar with the term 4 seasons rig. A 4 seasons rig means that it means that the furnace has a duct that will go down into the lower bay and keep your tanks and keep all your things, like your water lines, from freezing, which means that it has like this underbelly that's covered up. And I think the Airstream is just really well insulated, so it did great in that regard. But if you wake up in the morning and you open up your kitchen faucet and no water comes out, Don't worry, just wait for the sun to come out or maybe warm up, and it'll start working a little bit later. Now, speaking of the Grand Design, it had the Nautilus system that was right behind that front bay door, and I think that's why the lines froze up so much, because those water lines were so close, like within a foot of a bay door. And so what you can do in that situation is you can put a light or maybe even a heater if you're comfortable to keep that area warm, and that might prevent it from freezing up. Now what we did on this trip, because I didn't want to go out and buy a $100 heated hose just to go camping for a week, is we just elected to fill our freshwater tank, not all the way, just about half, and we filled it up, and then we just used our water pump. I'm gonna get my 0G hose. I love this hose. I don't think that's any secret, but it's not a great winter camping hose. It'll probably freeze a lot sooner than other types of freshwater hoses, but it's all I have at the moment. And as you can tell, it's a beautiful sunny day, although it's cold, the sun's out, and things really aren't freezing that much. I could probably leave this connected, and I might during the day. So probably what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to fill up the fresh water to about 35%, just so that we have water to do the dishes and things like that. And then I'm going to leave it connected, because there's no issue during the day to leave it connected. And then tonight around 5 o'clock I'll disconnect it and put it back in. The alternative, of course, would be to use a heated hose, but it's really not that necessary. Probably the only reason it would be necessary, when we were getting here and we turned on our water pump, it was taking a long time to prime, and I thought, oh my gosh, if I have an issue with the water pump, that would be a problem, because then I wouldn't be able to use any water in the fresh water tank. I'd have to be using a city connection. If I had to use a city connection, then you're better off getting a heated Camco hose. They're about $100. I considered getting one before coming here. It's just like, part of me was like, what? How could we do this and not buy a lot of things? That was kind of my thinking. And so if the worst case scenario is you can bring water bottles inside, so you can flush your toilets with actual jugs that I can just fill up right here, or connect your hose during the day when it's not going to freeze and then bring it at night. Those are all options. You don't have to go crazy just to camp in the winter. Another water tip is to take a 1 gallon jug like this and just fill it up like I have with this water, and leave this in your bathroom, so that if for any reason your water lines freeze, you still have water for your toilet, dishes, and things like that. So having a couple of these laying around inside your RV is kind of handy for that. Packing up to go, and I still want to talk about tips for traveling during the winter, highway driving, snowy conditions. That's really important. Storm, how to handle storms. But right here, my weight distribution bars are frozen onto here. I couldn't get them off, and it was just kind of a reminder that winter camping's hard, really hard. And so I just didn't want to sugarcoat it, I don't think I have been, but I just wanted to be really clear that you gotta really love skiing. You gotta really love whatever it is you're doing in the winter to deal with this. We did it once many years ago, and Trish said, I'm never gonna do this again. And then we had this opportunity to come out here and ski, which was a lot of fun, and we skied with Joel, and that'll be an upcoming video. Joel from Harvest Host, that is. But we're not going to do this again. So I just want to make sure we were clear. It's fun. We enjoyed it. We love skiing. We love winter activities, and I actually enjoy the snow. But I'm not doing this anymore. I think I'd be more clear than that. It's hard.
But it was fun.
It was fun. It was fun. I really, genuinely, had an awesome time. We were out here with the market guards, and it was great. We're here with Tori. Wonderful. We'll remember it forever. Not gonna do it again.
I got them both.
Hey, these things really work. These normally work in gravel. That's where I usually dirt and gravel, but turns out they work in snow too. Kind of handy. Now, those big fins, that we got when we went over the Vail Pass during a storm. I grabbed a hose and I got water behind them and they fell off, frozen to the ground. So I'm gonna have to kind of back out like this and then back around it.
I bet you get hit with your truck tire. And it would just... Wow.
There we go.
How did you do that?
I mean, how do you feel about camping on the bluff of Monument Valley? You want to see how far away that is?
I'd like to just go to an RV park.
Really?
Well, we're going to be coming in late. I need to do dishes. Like, then I'm going to make food, so then I got to clean those dishes.
Well, then you just want to go back to Moab?
Sure.
It's really not that far of a drive. It's like 4 hours.
One quick tip when it comes to driving in the winter, when it comes to getting fuel, is to make sure you don't run low on fuel. Trish was once driving from Phoenix up to Flagstaff and there was a storm. The I-17 was shut down. She was on the side of the highway for 4 hours. That is not a situation that you want to find yourself in, being concerned that you have enough fuel to keep your engine going and keep the heat running. All right, now let's talk about towing your RV in the winter and what happens if you find yourself where like a blizzard comes in or snowy conditions come in, and things that you can do to continue to travel in your RV in the winter safely, even if a storm comes in. And there's a few things that we've learned. The first is that it's remarkable how well the Department of Transportation, how well they clear these roads, how fast they do it, and how fast the freeways at least return to completely safe drivable conditions. To give you an example, a couple weeks ago, big storm rolls through Flagstaff. They shut down the I-17. In this footage right here, there's a row of cars all stopped on the side of the road. And this is what it looked like the next morning at 8 a.m. Now, granted, in this case, the sun came out the next day. But in most cases, the Department of Transportation will clear the road. And if it's an interstate, which you know, if you're traveling by RV, presumably you'd be on, the roads are completely safe to drive on the next day, as long as you're flexible in your plans. And that's probably the most important thing when traveling in the wintertime, is to not put yourself in a situation where you absolutely have to get home at a certain date, or you put yourself in a situation where you have to go somewhere to catch a flight, or meet up with friends, or have reservations. You've got to give yourself, when you're camping in the wintertime, a day or two ahead and a day or two on the back end, so that you can see clearly and think clearly, that when you start to see the signs that a storm's coming in, that you have the time to say, let's just go find an RV park, plug in, and wait for it to pass and wait for the roads to clear. That is the safest thing you can do when it comes to traveling in the wintertime. The second thing that I think it's important mentioning, maybe not on the channel, but I mention this to my kids all the time, is not to think that, hey, just because we're in big four-wheel drive vehicles, that makes a lick of difference. And I tell my kids all the time, look on the side of the road, up in Flagstaff at least, look on the side of the road, the vehicles that are flipped over on their roof on the side of the road, inevitably they are lifted 4x4 trucks. And I think that people just have a tendency to think, oh, I got four-wheel drive, my truck's big, I can drive as fast as I want. When you find yourself in a situation where you have to brake and you lose traction, it doesn't matter how big your truck is, you're sliding off the road. And so going slow is the key. And you know, Trish just went over the Vail Pass. Pretty extreme conditions, I would say. All the semi trucks are on the side of the road, they're putting chains on. And you know what Trish did is she got in the right-hand lane and we went slow. And we didn't put ourselves in a situation where if we had to stop, that we would lose traction. So we'd leave tons of room between us and the semi truck, in this case ahead of us. And we just go slow. And that's the key. Be flexible in your planning, go slow, make sure you have fuel, and I think you'll find yourself that you can travel just about anywhere in the wintertime and be okay. Hello. How's the chili?
Good, we made you some.
Oh, thank you. That was good.
Amazing.
Come and have a seat.
Chili at a truck stop?
Well, normally I'd say no thank you. Well, this is where we wish the video ended. But apparently, you have more to gain from our mistakes. We spent the night in Moab once again, and then carefully and slowly made our way through Utah and northern Arizona to put the RV back in storage because the cabin was still buried in snow. And then, Mark noticed.
You see how wet it is? See how wet it is over here? And how not wet it is over there? And how wet it is right here? Come in here like this. Look at that. Look at that. I don't know, for some reason before I left, I just thought, well, let me find out what, everything's at, gray, black, fresh, and I happened to know that this morning it was at 80% because I thought, that's way too much. I don't need that much water in the fresh just to drive home and leave it in storage. So I know it was at 80. And now it's at 0. And now I see all that leaking down there. That means our fresh water, the ride from Colorado to Flagstaff, especially when you're going like kind of near Page, it's just so much bumps and everything. We got in, we opened up the door and it was a wreck. So if the fresh water tank is not holding fresh, that means that we can't dry camp all the way to Florida. It means we're gonna have to do RV parks.
Wait, what?
Fresh water's leaking. I don't know why it's leaking. Pillow, that's nice. That's good. Oh, gosh, don't touch the pillows. Oh yeah, oh, it's wonderful. This is the winter that broke me. The winter of 23, it broke me. I'm ready for Florida.
I got a winter tip.
What?
Go south.
I want to just chat real quick about what I think happened because there's no way that the freshwater tank froze because we were using our freshwater tank the entire time we were in Breckenridge and all the time we went down to Moab. But I think I overfilled my water tank, not overfilled, but I had 80% water in the water tank. And it got really cold on our drive. And I think that the tank got really brittle while driving. And I contacted Ronnie with Airstream Nuts and Bolts and I said, what do you think happened? And he showed me a picture. He thinks a fitting busted because probably the tank was so cold and the road was so rough and I had a lot of water in there, it probably busted that fitting. And I'm incredibly disappointed because to replace a fresh water tank is a big job by yourself, even if I did want to tackle it. And then the other thing is we're headed to Florida and we're going to be living in our RV, so there's really no good time to do this. So it's disappointing to say the least, expensive and time consuming and not cool. So this is it. This is truly, it was not clickbait. This was our last winter camping experience. We love winter activities, but combined with the RV, I don't know. I don't think we're gonna do it anymore. We're Florida bound, but there's been some changes that have been going on as life presents changes in the family and things of this nature. And so the snow has delayed us, and now some things are going on with the family that has delayed us that we'll share with you later. And so we have a list of like how-to educational videos that are highly requested. We get a lot of emails, and so when things like this happen, we usually go into that list and we provide how-to content, typically in the winter like this. And then so we have one more video like that, which we'll be sharing with you, and then we're gonna hit the road and head out to Florida, which will be kind of fun. So we'll share with you the journey out there, and then we have a whole bunch of trips planned, and then ultimately we're gonna share what we're doing for 23. This is a giant year. As you heard Trish say in the last episode, this is a big year. We're really excited about it. We're going to share with you the whole route and what we have planned. We have all sorts of meetups happening, and then Caleb goes to school in August, so it's going to be cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. Trish and I are looking forward to it. So, hope you got some tips out of this winter camping video. If you did, hit the like button. If you say, I'm never going winter camping again, hit the like button, and we'll catch you next Sunday. Talk to you later.
Having my flourless toast with no butter.
What? There's butter on the counter.
I'm trying to,
Oh.
Awesome. You ready?
What a winter wonderland, huh?
Isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah, for 5 minutes. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, so dark.
You beautiful omelet. Well done.
Amazing. Wow. That omelet? Let me zoom in on that omelet.
I'm a little jealous.
Man, what's your secret?
Well, obviously that would be a secret. However, what I can let you in on is when it's on one side and all of the egg is pretty much cooked but not completely, you want to start flipping your edges, make a nice little home for everyone. And then you want to flip the whole thing simultaneously.
Gotcha. Wow.
We used to call those yummy eggs because you used to make them.
Yeah.
For like all my friends when they all came over.
Uh-huh.
It was Dad's yummy eggs.
Dad's yummy eggs.
All you need to do to get dads to start cooking is name their things that they're good at. And then the kids will request it by name and the dad cannot resist.